live. I think I'm live this time. And I think this is working. Gonna give this a try. I don't know if there's any audio, but it might not be working. This is a great way to get started. I think there should be audio going out. And, let's see. Why don't I hear any? Oh, yes, it's working. All right, I am live. Forget all that chaos. Welcome to Schwami Streams. If anybody is out there, this is the first time I've been live streaming solo here in a long time. It has been a while, and, rough start to the morning. I call my stream Schwami Streams, coding fun and a bit of chaos, and some days there's more chaos than others. Usually, it's about getting the stream started and trying to make things going. Hey, hello Freestyle, how are you, man? Thanks for coming out. You can lurk all you want. I don't have any commands set up. I don't have any of that stuff going in Twitch, so I don't know. I think exclamation lurk is supposed to be a Twitch command. Maybe it does something. I don't know. So I am streaming live today. I'm just trying to settle in because, of course, the kickoff going live is always chaos, and I haven't done a live stream of Schwami Streams in a long time. So I was playing with my settings and playing with my buttons and hoping that everything was working. And so now I have to settle down, take a deep breath, Andy, settle down and take a look at what I want to really do today. I want to write some code. And thanks. Yeah. I need to have some calming music. That's what I need. I need to set up some Zen kind of music. I'll ask one favor, Freestyle Coder, if you don't mind, and if you can let me know just how the audio sounds, because I just want to make sure my mic is I think it's at a decent level, but I'm not positive because, again, I haven't had this whole thing set up in a while, and it's hard to monitor audio. So I am going to get started today writing some code. And thanks. I appreciate the sound check for me. I'm going to write some code. I am going to write a Blazor app. I've been saying for a while that I think Blazor is really cool, and haven't written a production Blazor app. I've done a couple of prototypes, a couple of things, and played around with it. So I'm kind of familiar with the basics of Blazor. But I am creating an app. Now, this will actually be a real application that gets used. So it's not just demoware. I've gotten permission to sort of build it on stream, and this is going to be working code. It's pretty simple, but I think it will help me get a good start with building Blazor app. And so I have some notes over here. So this is going to be a Blazor app that is going to have... let's see, we're looking at my notes here. I'm going to use Blazor. It's going to be server-side Blazor, at least for the first iteration. It'll use a web API, so the Blazor app will talk to a web API app to do its things. And that'll allow me to move it to WebAssembly when I choose to do that. And I'm a fan of web APIs. I like code to be separated out. So I'll use the web API for that. Hosted in Azure. I'll have a public GitHub repo where people can check it out. I'm going to use GitHub Actions to build and deploy this. That is a place where I am a novice, and so that will be interesting. But I'm going to try to focus on the Azure, on the Blazor parts in the beginning. I'm going to do a little bit of data storage, not a complicated model, but I'll have a database. I'll use Entity Framework and that kind of stuff. But I'm going to use authentication and authorization, so I'll be doing OIDC, and I think that'll be really exciting. I'm really interested to see how that works with Blazor. So, and I'll be doing unit tests and everything. This is a production. This will be a production app. So let me get started. And so I'm going to share my screen here. And oh, look at this. Andy is sharing the screen. Shwami streams. This is exciting for me because I really like doing this. Even though I find it a little chaotic, I really like doing this. And I'm like not even that used to it, right? But I did create a GitHub repo off stream. I just did that right beforehand while I was setting up this morning. So it's called Team Feedback. The application is for gathering feedback about a team. Very simple, actually, very simple feedback. And when I get into it, hopefully I'll get some feedback from viewers about what they think of the concept of the simple feedback that I'm trying to gather. So I've got this GitHub repo, and I don't even code every day anymore. So this could get really kind of rough. I'm kind of curious to see how this goes, but I'm going to go to create a new project. And when this loads, I'm going to go with the Blazor, of course. So I'm going to start with the Blazor stuff. I'm also going to have the API project as well. But I'm going to start with a Blazor server app. You can see I had that in my recent things. I was doing a little playing around in advance, but not a lot. So I'm going to create a Blazor. And I guess if I wanted to really do it from the beginning, I'd probably be searching in here for Blazor and see what comes up in there. And it's very slow, isn't it? Let's see how my machine's plugging along here. Task Manager. Oh yeah, my CPU's cranking. Look at that. What can I shut down? Let's see what I can. Think if I have anything extra running that I don't need. Oh, okay. I don't need that. Quit Discord. Anything I can get rid of would probably be good. So, all right. Well, hopefully this will play along. But here, because I get some options for Blazor. And I'm going to choose Blazor server app as opposed to Blazor WebAssembly. So I'm going to be running my code on the server. And I am going to name this. And so I'm going to call it Shwami streams dot, what do I call it? Team feedback. That'll be the name. It's going to create a new solution. What are my choices there, right? Create a new solution. The solution name will be that. So then I'm going to call this project dot, this is going to get long if I call it Blazor server. Getting a long name there. Well, whatever. That's what I'm going to call it. I might regret this later, as I usually do. Naming is hard, right? We all know that. Naming is hard. So anyway, I'm going to create my... little app here, and let's go to next. And I'm going to use .NET 5. I am going to switch the authentication type to be Microsoft Identity Platform. That should plug in the OIDC stuff for me, if I'm not mistaken. I could do it afterwards. Let's do none, and let's add it in afterwards. That'll actually probably be kind of more interesting. Sometimes I think it's better to learn it and like do it yourself. I'll configure it for HTTPS. So yeah, all right. So now I'm making decisions. I'm moving along. Haven't written any code yet. That's going to be a bit. Let's see what happens. And it says not responding. Let's just keep an eye on this. How bad is this? Look at that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to minimize this. Sometimes that helps a lot. And having less stuff I have, even these browser windows really find that a lot of this stuff like affects performance. This too, I don't know if that's doing anything. Those. I'm just okay. So this came up. Okay, I'm just monitoring a couple things too while we're at it. Just want to see. Yeah, cool. So, all right, here we are. So I've got this very basic Blazor server-side application, and it should work. And let's see what happens. See what happens. I'm going to run it just to make sure, because I've done this before. This will give me like the very basic Blazor app, which will have this like counter demo in it. And I can see my computer's really like chugging. It's not happy. And this is the problem right there. Like CPU is at 100%. Probably using VS Code, and I might switch to VS Code for some of this stuff too. All right, so here it goes. It's kind of coming along. I'll use my like, yeah, it's trying. It's trying. All right. Maybe I don't want my little music to make it even worse. This is okay. So there it is. I got a Blazor app. Okay. How's Blazor working for you? Blah, blah, blah. The counter page. All this is the standard Blazor stuff that you get out of the box. And we're not really going to care much about any of that. I'm not even sure I need a menu on this, but it's probably not a bad idea to leave it there. And I'm going to style this thing later. Now, I am really rusty with a lot of my skills here, but I'm going to try to get in and do a little Blazor UI. Let's see what I can do with this thing. So I'm going to start off by adding a page in here. And the page, so what I need to do is I'm going to gather feedback, and I'm going to have another page that allows you to configure the application for certain settings. Oh, wait, now this says it's not. Oh, you know what I did? I bet I didn't put this in the right folder because I already see add to source control. I might have already screwed this up, but that's okay. I can fix that, I think. Let's take a look at. Yeah, look at that. I put it in the wrong spot already. How's that? So there's the team feedback repo. All right, so I already screwed up. This is going swimmingly. Now this will be fine. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to call the solution, because I don't want to really do this while it's open. And, you know, listen, if you're with me live today, you know, we're not expecting magic here, because this is a little bit of getting started here. I wouldn't have too high hopes, but I wanted to stream today. Actually, this was important for me. And streamers will know this, right? If you're a streamer and you happen to be watching this either on a replay or live, you'll know that I kind of wanted to get my streaming chops going again and build this thing from the beginning. So I'm going to take this whole project and I'm going to move it over to team feedback, where I have that. And I'm going to put this here. And let's just see if this is right. This is a solution. So what did it do? It created a folder? Why did it create all this stuff? What's that? I don't know what that is. This is my solution. Do I have an extra level of folders in here? I feel like I could move these things. I'm going to regret this. You wait and see. Delete that. Put these here. Ah! What'd I do? All right. I screwed up. Let's do. I thought I did that right. All right. I'll just call this like X. Oh yeah, this is a joy. Shwami's off to a ripping start here. And then it's hard to like even think. I'm just gonna call this X. Okay. I think that's the way I want it. So I have team feedback, and in there I have the solution and stuff like that. That's definitely better. This is the solution folder. This is the project folder. Blazor server. Yeah, I think this is right. All right, now here we go again. Open up a project. I got to figure out how to get my machine to run a little faster. Feedback, solution. All right. Why is it so slow? It's probably OBS just killing me, but I've done this streaming on my one computer. Oh man, skip frames are bad. Something is not good. Oh, look at this. This is a statistic that, well, this might explode into my thing here, but this is not good right there. A lot of skip frames. Let's reset that and see if it gets any better. Because that is performance. And I think, oh, I know, there's a thing I can do in OBS to turn off the preview or something like that. How do I do that? Oh wait, I'm gonna just Google it. OBS disable preview. Yeah. I just want to see like a simple. See if this does it for me. Projector preview. Where is that under? What menu was that? It's on the main window. Yeah, preview. Enable preview off. Okay, turn that off. And let's see if that helps. Let's see if that helps. And let's go back to doing some stuff that we're trying to do here. Anyone who's suffering along, appreciate your hanging out. So I've got this. Okay, good. Now I can see here it's on the repo and stuff like that. So I should probably just check it in. I like to try to like do that, like incremental stuff, right? So this will say new solution. Let's commit that. And let's push that up. Let's see. Under push. Okay. Did it go? Oh, there it goes, working. Okay, great. Look at me. Look at me using Git and all this kind of stuff. So now I'm going to go in, and if I remember correctly, I'll go to pages. And if I look at the way these other pages are set up, like index, etc., I'm going to create a new page. And it needs to have this @page attribute. That I know, right? And so I can actually work right on the index. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to create a new page. So I'll go down here and do add. And I want to add a Razor page. Razor page or Razor component? I think what I want is this confuses me because a component can be a page and a page can be a page, I think. But let's see what happens because I can always delete it because I'm kind of learning this along the way. Razor page empty. You know, something tells me I want a component. Let's see what happens if I do this. This is experimentation. That's what I'm doing here is experimenting. And this is weird because it took me to another thing and now it's going back to component, which really, is a little strange. I'm going to call this like entry because this is where you enter the feedback, right? So I'll call it entry. Okay, and let's see what happens with this. Just winging it along here. Well, so interestingly, I wanted it to be a page and it didn't give me the attribute I was looking for. And I was kind of curious to see which would work better. So now, as an experiment, I am going to delete it and I'm going to try it again just to see how it works differently. All right. So, because this is all about learning. I'm here learning, and if you're with me, you're learning as well. And I have a feeling this is going to do, see, it's so funny because it says add, and I say razor component. Now, what does it do? It takes me to, like, I might as well have just typed add new item, I think, unless maybe this is filtered by razor things. But no, it's not. So I don't really understand what that's all about. I'll be honest, I don't know what's going on there. But I'm going to name this thing, let's do this again, entry.razor. And what I know I need to do is I need to put that page attribute at the top. Anyway, I know it needs to be there. I've done enough, little bit of research on there. And I think I put like the URL or the path to it. And so I'm going to call it entry. Okay. And I don't know if I did that right. Let's find out. Yeah, it looks slash on that one. And this one should have like slash counter. Yeah. Okay. So I've got that. And that's my little entry page. Now let's just say, oh, it says entry on it. Okay. So I could do two things. I could run my page, or I could go and I could add it to the menu. And I'm going to add it to the menu. And if I look under here under shared, they give you this stuff by default. Now the styling of this I'm not going to like, but I think it's okay. I'm just going to kind of keep this stuff in here. And you could see these other pages that were in here. This is how you get to counters. This is how you get to this fetch data thing, which we'll delete that. And you know what? I'm going to just use this counter one anyway. Why not? So let's just, because I don't need the counter. So I'm going to call this entry is the href, right? That's where I want to go. Did they use capitals? I guess I can just do it like that, entry. But the text is going to be entry. Or how about this? Enter, provide feedback. Wouldn't that be better? Provide feedback. Okay, so now if I run this, and I have no idea if I'm doing it completely correctly, but if I run this, I am hoping to see the menu, and we will see what happens. You know, it always goes to another screen, of course. Let's take a look. Jogging along. I got to figure out what I can do. Remember being this bad. Okay, so here it is. And I've got this provide feedback. Oh, I didn't change the icon on there, but that's okay. And look at that entry. Okay, good. So the basics of this is working, right? I mean, like very basic. Now I have to figure out how to make this page look good. Now, I don't know much about this kind of razor. Like, I am not super, familiar with razor page layout and stuff. I mean, I know enough about it to be dangerous, but I'm wondering, well, I mean, I could go with like just, a button at the bottom and a text box or something like that. But that other page, fetch data, what does this one have? I'm just curious to see if it has any other. So like, yeah, okay, this one has a table. I don't really want that. So let's just Google this. Let's have a little fun here. Blazor form layout. Like I just want to create a little form. Blazor UI with layouts. Telerik. I like Telerik people. No offense, but I want to stick to the vanilla stuff. Let's see what this takes me to. So there's a button. This is interesting. Oh, an edit form. Okay. I did not know that this was a thing that I might need. But maybe that's not a bad idea. A form is defined using a Blazor framework's edit form component. The following Razor component demonstrates typical elements, components, Razor code. Okay. Edit form. What does that take me to? No, see, this is what I didn't want to go to, right? I kind of hate this stuff. I kind of want to go to something that's more of a demo of it. But okay, maybe this is what I want. Because look at that. There's like an input, and it's an edit form. I'm going to try this. Now, it does say binding a form. An edit form creates an edit context based on the assigned model instance as a cascading value for other components. So there's going to be an edit form in the model. This one has a model. Now I don't have a model yet, but I like that idea. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to just cut this and paste this baby right here. They have logging, and I don't have logging yet, but I will need to get there. Oh, because they're using this logger. Huh. Okay. Well, let's do that anyway. That doesn't seem like a terrible idea. So I'm going to go back to my entry page here, and I'm just going to, I guess I probably need to drop this whole thing here. I'm going to go back and put a little H3 at the top here, just so I sort of like having something like that. Provide feedback. Okay, now obviously I don't have, well, this needs to be changed to entry, I think. That should work. Now, I don't have a class here to do my data entry on. So I will need something like that. And why don't I create, I don't know with Razor, there's a data folder. This is what they're giving me out of the box. I'll tell you what, I'm going to use this data folder, and I'm going to create a little model here. I'm going to go to I'm going to call this feedback entry.cs. And I'm just going to say, these are Boolean. These are really simple feedback that I'm going to ask, and I'll build the questions later. Let's see. Things went well. Simple Boolean. Things went well or things did not go well. And I'm going to do another one that says, I'm going to call this is better than last. And I'll explain what all that means. This is going to be nullable, I think. Or do I want to make that? Well, whatever. I'll figure it out later. So I don't know if I need to do anything special on that to make it usable in this validation. I mean, in this form. Right? Okay. Give me my prompt. Where's my little prompt to say add the using? Come on. No? Interesting. Yeah, I am. Of course I'm missing a using directive. I knew that. Aren't you supposed to tell me and like help me? So, all right. Not going to be much help to me. Using Blazor server dot data. Okay, thank you. So now I've got this, and we're going to bind this thing. Oh, so I don't know. Can I put like a checkbox here? Input checkbox. Hey, that's cool. Had no idea if that was going to work. So my model is at example model. I'll call this input feedback input. Let's just do something like that. I have no idea. And I'll put that there. And this is a good name. So my feedback input, and I'm going to say this goes here, and it's going to be bound to, look at that, things went well. Now what I need here is some sort of text. I don't know, what do I put in, like a span or something like that? And I'll say, did things go well this sprint? That's really what I'm trying to do here, by the way, is I'm trying to gather sprint feedback about my teams. And so I don't know what's going to happen here, but what I will do is I'm going to put a breakpoint here, and see if this does anything. And I suspect that it might, because this isn't super complicated based on that. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to take a look at this documentation and see what they do about, whoop, come back to that. I want to see what I can do about validation stuff, because there's, oh look, so here's these input, all these inputs, input texture. Okay, cool. Example form. So now this is kind of what I was curious about. So I guess if I use these data annotations out of the box, these are going to be required fields. So that would be, this is kind of what I was assuming. There's that, okay, here it comes. Let's go to provide feedback. Did things go well this sprint? Submit it. Okay, there's my breakpoint. Now, what does it, oh, it's bound. So I bet I can go right on this thing. Yeah, look at that, right? I like the way, I like data binding, right? I don't have to pass values around. It's data bound to that. And I think, I don't even know what logging does right now because I just wired it up really basically. And I don't know if that's going to automatically go to like App Insights or something like that. That will be another thing to figure out. But look at that. So I already submitted that. So I'm gonna play around with this a little bit more. So I'm gonna say this is, I pasted it right. Yeah. Oh no, I thought I had it in there. I'm gonna say required. I might need to add data annotations for that, if I remember correctly. Come on. There we go. Using data annotations. Okay, so I'm going to say they're, you know what? Let's just say they're not both required. It'll actually be fun to do some testing with that. And then when I go here, handle submit, do I have to do anything to validate it, or will it automatically validate it? I kind of think I need to do some processing there. So let's see if in here, they're not doing much with it in terms of, they have these valid required fields and they have range, but I don't see anything in here like on handle valid submit. Okay, it's an on valid submit. So that implies to me that the validation is happening without me having to do anything about it. And let's find out what happens. This is a early learning process. And actually fine, no one's really watching live. Maybe some people will watch us in replay. And I mean, maybe somebody's watching live. It's okay. It's a good day for me to not have a whole lot of chat going as I'm just figuring this out. And then hopefully we'll build this little group up and we'll have a party here soon, and we'll have people helping me and I'll be helping other people, but I don't know what I'm doing anyway. So yeah, man, it's still really slow. Okay, good. Here we go. Provide feedback. So what I expect to happen now, this says required. Find value, things went well. So that's interesting. So what did I forget to do? My feedback entry says things went well is a required field. Okay. And this says valid submit. So I think I must have to do something else here. I skimmed over this quickly. Let's take a look. Maybe there's another section here that talks about validation. So here's a validate, but I don't know. Summary. Submit. Oh, on submit. Oh, wait. Did my code say on valid submit? Not just on submit. Missing something. Thanks for doing this. Please continue the same every week. If someone is busy, they will come back and go through the video. Thank you. Thank you, Ram, on YouTube. I appreciate that. And I need to get featured chat hooked up on here so I can show those things. But that's right. People will come back. And I'm going to just keep kind of playing through this thing. And so I appreciate that feedback. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here, being a part of the show. So we have identifications. I'm not good at reading on stream. I have to learn to just be like, assign an event handler to run when a form with valid fields is submitted. Okay. Now there's this invalid submit, but that might be for something. I would think that's something different. So handler is called if the form passes validation, but it did not. It's probably something stupid. Question here from Gary the Resident Sleeper says, would I recommend web forms? I would not really recommend web forms. I think if someone's using web forms, I know they're trying to move that forward and keep it, sort of current, but I don't think web forms is the best way to do things. It's a personal opinion. And I'm entitled to mine, you're entitled to yours, right? So, I don't want to get a whole big debate, but no, I wouldn't recommend web forms. I think I like the sort of newer way of looking at this. I think these Razor pages are pretty nice and easy to use. I was a big fan of MVC and moved away from web forms pretty quickly. But this isn't really, this is Blazor, which is, generally different as well because I have, it's kind of a different model altogether, I guess. Although Blazor on the server isn't really all that different. But then I'm going to be switching this to work eventually as Blazor client side, in which case I'll have the C# running on the client, and that would be totally different. But no, I'm not a fan of web forms. Sorry to say, and I don't know if I'm quite the beginner. What does Razor pages mean? Yeah, that's a good question. So I haven't really thought about to explain it at an entry level. Although as a presenter, as someone who likes to know these things, it's actually kind of good, right? So we could take a look. I don't mind doing this stuff because it helps me learn it better. I mean, I understand what Razor pages are. Razor pages, I give you a little bit of that. This is like Razor page format, right? So instead of saying, gosh, I haven't done web forms in a really long time. I think in web forms you do something like ASP and then you say like text box or something like that. I could be wrong because it's been a really long time. And you create these things like that. It like that. So maybe that works in web forms. I kind of forget. In web forms you have, what I don't like about web forms, let me tell you that because it's kind of coming back to me. Web forms has a long and complicated page life cycle to deal with. And it was always very hard to debug and very hard to deal with troubleshooting. That was what I remember about web forms and not really liking it. And I think if you're starting from scratch, like if you knew it and you were good at it, that's fine. But I think if you were starting from scratch, you would start with either MVC or something like Razor. And so Razor, let's go to what I was going to do is just like take a quick look like what is Razor? ASP.NET Razor. Let's do that, right? And yeah, so you get this Razor markup. I mean, I'm just clicking random links. I don't know if these are good or bad. Razor is a markup syntax that lets you embed server-based code, which is what we're going to be doing, into web pages, right? I already showed that it's a markup syntax. Server-based code can create dynamic web content on the fly, right? So what it allows me to do, if you think about it, this is a Razor page. This is the markup, and this is the code. And the code can run. It's the Razor page itself is capable of running this code, when it needs to. And it's really interesting because this, well, it's a little bit of a mixture of things on the same time, and we were trying to get away from that, I thought, with like separation of concerns and things like that. And so that's where I think some of this is like we've gone a little bit full circle. So the Razor syntax is mostly what we're talking about here. Now, there's more to it than that, I think, because there's this whole framework of shared pages and navigation that Razor provides. I don't think this was the best. I want to go to something like, I'm just going to go to good old like intro to ASP.NET Razor. This might be too complicated. I don't know how far down this path I can go, although I don't mind like playing around and goofing around. Let's see. So yeah, well, one thing to remember is you add the @ character. I mean, I kind of have that in mind, but when you want to add code, and it's this ability to mix code and syntax and markup together. But I was kind of hoping it would talk a little bit more about the other things of Razor, which is the navigation and things like that. And I don't really see that explained here. I don't know. I will try to think a little bit more about that kind of stuff along the way. And my son just came home from school. I'm just going to yell out to him real quick. Hang on a second. So yeah, I wasn't really thinking about it from that, like really starting from the beginning of what is Razor, and what is Blazor, which is what I'm doing, which uses the Razor page. So, just to confuse you even more, Blazor is a framework that uses Razor syntax. So maybe I'm wrong about that. So maybe the navigation and the stuff that I'm talking about, that's Blazor. Razor is what this page is. This is a Razor page. And maybe we should keep the context to that a Razor page has this type of syntax. I have some directives at the top, and I've defined this page as this Razor component as a page, and then I've used some HTML. This is sort of standard HTML markup here, and this is Razor markup, so you can combining those things. And then I have a code snippet down here, and we can run all these things, sort of together in harmony, in perfect, beautiful harmony. Except it's not so perfect because this says on valid submit, and the layout of the website defined. The next question is the layout of the website defined in the Razor page too? So I'm going to try to interpret that question a little bit. If we run this, well, yes and no. The overall layout is this thing here in shared, which hopefully you can see if it's not zooming. And I can go to this main layout. Okay, this is a good question, by the way. And this is the main layout page, right? And so what you can see here is that there's a div. It's HTML. It's a mixture of HTML and this Razor stuff. And I've got this div, and it uses CSS, and it's using a style called page in here. And then I've got this element here, this HTML element, which says put the nav menu in this spot here in a class called sidebar. And then in this div called main, I am putting this, let's see, on the top row, a div, that has some styling applied to it called top row and stuff like that. We can look at the CSS for it, but basically a link in there. And this takes me to about, and this is going to take me to the ASP.NET page for the docs. And the only other thing that happens underneath this sort of like top menu, I could put whatever I want to in this top section, but then I have this body. I've defined the body. And again, I'm a little rusty here, but Blazor or Razor, and I guess it's probably Razor at this point, interprets the body and will then put whatever page we're navigated to into that body. And we've got the nav menu, which is a very simple nav menu, which I'll run this again and show what it looks like. But there's a couple of links, 3 links, a nav link that goes to the home, one that goes to provide feedback, and one goes to fetch data, which was just part of the built-in stuff. Let's see how I am running it here. So let's take a look. So now you can see this is sort of the home page, right? Here's that about link. This is that top menu-y thing. And this is that content section. And as the URL up here changes, right, I can say fetch data, which isn't my thing, but that'll take me to this other thing. If I do that, right, it went to this and it put that in the middle, right? And I used a couple of thises and that's, which might not have made perfect sense, but hopefully it did. And I can go to, I could click on here and you could see, oh, I didn't put my zoom it on, but you can click, if I hover over here, you can see the URL down there at the bottom. So this says /entry and this is /fetch data. So I can go here, it says entry, my top menu or whatever we want to call that stayed the same, my side menu stayed the same, and I've got my content. And with that, I can apply all kinds of CSS, which I haven't done. This is the boilerplate out of the box, but I will style this thing up a little bit as as this thing progresses. In the meantime, I'm trying to figure out why this submit is not working, and or it's working, but it's not doing what I thought it would, which is to say that I really thought this valid submit would work when something is valid. And that kind of lets me think that this isn't right. Maybe I need to put some other thing on here. So there's this, so there's edit form. An edit form, and a model is called the example model. And the example model has nothing else on it except required. Well, maybe since it's Boolean, it's defaulting to false if I don't do anything. So maybe this is not a good example. Aha! That is probably my problem. What just happened to my computer? I don't know, that was weird. Oh, Gary, I hope I can call you Gary. Gary, the resident sleeper. I'm glad glad that helped. And so I think I solved my problem, which was kind of a silly problem, that probably because this is Boolean, it's not working well. So just for kicks, I'm going to change this to be, I'm going to add something else into here. And, oh, well, that didn't work so great. You know why? Probably because I'm running. And I would like to figure out how to get this, like, where you just automatically reuse the thing. Why does it keep wrapping that over there? I don't want that. Now, what was this? This was like a input text. Let's just do that. Input text, and I'll call it, oh, this isn't even right anyway, but okay, text. I'll put that there. And I'm going to put this into a new thing called string test. And I have a feeling this is going to work better. So now I'm going to bind this thing to test. And I'll even call this test just so it's not confusing. Now when I run it, I'm kind of hoping that this, oh, wait, got to put the required on there. Almost missed that one. And let's run it and see what happens here. And Gary, for participating in the chat so much today, and I appreciate that. I love having conversation with people, even, you know, if I'm just winging it, I don't know what I'm doing, but for participating in the chat, you get a grand prize for today, and the grand prize for today is my my appreciation. You're my #1 fan for today, and I appreciate you being here and you know, just joining in and having a little conversation with us today. You are the #1 fan of the day. It's all I got. It's all I got for you. So I'm going to go back to provide feedback. And now I'm going to hit submit, right? And this should, So I spent a while thinking, you know, trying to figure out why the checkbox, but the Boolean is what was screwing it up. No problem, Gary. My chat is a little delayed when I hear it and when I see it versus when you hear it. But anyway, yeah. So thank you. So that's the thing. So now I solved my problem. So I guess to do you know, required fields on Booleans, probably have to make them nullable. I wonder if there's an attribute for nullable. Let's look at this. No, you know what? I think it doesn't matter because I think I'm going to change those to like selects anyway. Let's do that because that'll give me something new to learn really right away. So what I'm going to do is it's bound to a Boolean value, but I think what I'm going to do is change these to be drop downs. Or I could make it 2 checkboxes. No, let's go with the drop down idea. So let's just leave that there. And so let's just say I'm going to do an input. Is there a select? Input select. Look at that. Just what I was expecting. Input select. I'll say ID equals went well. And I'm going to say at bind value. Nope, not bid. Bind value equals. And I don't know if this will work, but I'm going to say feedback input. I'm getting good IntelliSense here. I like this stuff. Things went well. That's a Boolean, but that's okay because I think what I can do, oops, I need to figure out how to put the items in here. Select, is it item? I don't know what goes in here. Option? Option. Is it smart enough? Does it understand the HTML option? Is there a select option? I don't think so. Let's try it. Option. And I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to say no, of course, right? But I think in here I can say, ooh, look at this. There's some Razor stuff in here too. Well, you know what? Let's figure out how to do Blazor. What was it called? Input select. And I got pretty far. And I'm kind of glad that it was working the way I was expecting it to. Binding select element. Care about anything that complicated. Create an input select. They're really trying to make it more complicated than I will. But let's just see. Got the options, right? So that was working the way I wanted it to. But I want to make sure, okay, you can do a list of things, and I could do that. I don't think mine is complicated enough to do that. So I just want to have like, maybe it's just, I just look up select list, like HTML select option. I think there's an attribute that I just used to, it's probably value if I'm not mistaken. Value, yeah, okay, great. So that's what I was going to do, and I'm hoping that's going to work. So I'll just say value equals true. And let's see if that binds to my, I'll just copy it like that and say value equals false, and we'll say no. And now, well, let's use that breakpoint and see what happens when we get in there. We're using the input checkbox as opposed to input text. Marcus Voice Programmer, hello. Well, I was using the checkbox originally because the thing I'm trying to get is a yes or no question. And it seemed like, oh, why don't we just check it and you can say yes or no. The problem is, I don't know. It's probably not the best use case here because unchecked, like I was making it required. And there's probably a way to say that the checkbox is nullable or something like that. But my point is I wanted to have a way to explicitly have a yes or no and not just have somebody hit the submit button and then all my values would come in Boolean as false, if that makes sense. And let me just think about something. Yeah, so I hope, Marcus Voice Programmer, that answers the question. I decided, and again, I'm just playing around and trying to learn this. This is an app that I'm going to be using for work, but I'm really just sort of hacking my way into it. So if I go to my provide feedback, now I should see yes or no. Well, so now if I submit it, but that's that field that's required. So let's just see what happens if I even do this. Oh, I got to put something in here. I forgot. Unhandled except, well, that just blew up completely, huh? Let's just try it again and see if it reloads. What does that do? Yeah, okay, so this doesn't work at all. Oh, because this isn't bound to anything. I screwed up because I'm kind of plugging along here. And so I should have taken out this. Let's get rid of that first of all. And then over here, oh, I still have test in there, so let's get rid of that. And so I don't think HTML has a nullable checkbox. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't think it did either. With the select, you need a third option for it to be null. Well, it looked like it was null. That's a good point, Marcus. It did kind of look like it was null from at the starting point because nothing was selected, I think. But it's not a bad idea to have something like that. Well, but the data binding value, the data that I'm binding to, is not nullable, right? It's just a Boolean. So I don't want to allow them to enter null. I just want to make sure that it defaults to being not, selected, if that makes sense. So let me see. Maybe I need to put in that like, how about please choose, one of those things. Like I could do, I don't even know if I put a value in here. Let's just do something like that. I don't know if that's going to help. I'm running it. I'm just winging it here. Let's see. So, and I wish this was a little faster, but I'm hoping I'm going to hit this breakpoint if I select a value. So let's just see what happens. Okay, we're coming up. Come on. Keep it moving. There we go. Come on. Oh, this car is dying. What the heck? This is the slowest. Oh, finally. Okay, that was slow. All right, so if I hit submit, see, it's still submitted. Okay, now, what is the value? If I hover over this, the false. So it still put it as false. Maybe I need to make my... this is probably just dumb stuff. I'm getting stuck here, but I wonder if this needs to be nullable. And then it will see that it's null. But would null be considered a value for required? Probably not. And maybe it's defaulting it to... Maybe because it's not nullable, it's defaulting it to false no matter what, right? And so I'm kind of grasping it. This is interesting, right? Because this is what always happens when you build an application. This is not exactly the place I expected to get stuck building my first Blazor application, right? On this like sort of silly little thing. Let's just throw a text box in here. And interestingly, how much I'm learning right here, you just don't know what's going to happen on these things, right? So we'll give it another spin and see what happens. This is the painful part because I have to figure out, and my skipped frames is really bad. Yeah, this computer is unhappy today. So we're going to try this again. Look at that. Okay, now obviously the message is terrible, right? Things went well. So it was about being null. And so now okay. And if I say yes and hit submit, now I'm getting this unhandled exception, which is kind of weird. And so that's odd. So I'm going to reload this. I'm going to say, oh, look at that. It blows up no matter what. And I have a feeling the reason for that is this binding, right? Because it's bool, and I've put like true and false in there, and I hadn't really considered like what that should be. Like, I don't think I can do this. Or can I? Let's find out. Let's just Google that one. That'll be interesting. So I'm going to say razor, select option, bind Boolean. Testing my Google skills here and see. Convert a Boolean property editor into a drop-down list MVC. This is older. I want razor because it might be different now. Select list in razor pages form. Here's a Boolean. Let's see what this gives me. I see something about Boolean in here. So select text, first two. Select property is a Boolean. You can project data from an entity. Oh, this is like deeper than I wanted to go into entity framework and things like that. I don't think this is really what I'm talking about here. If it accepted non-string values, then I would think that values of 1, 2, and 3, and 4 would not be as strings. Now here we go. Multiple. Oh, this is multiple. It's, I don't know what that means. So I'm going to try one other thing before I somewhat throw in the towel here on that particular thing. And I can think of other ways to do this as I have in the past. But I'm going to put this as capital true, capital, right? And capital false, just to see if that solves my problem. And maybe it can convert that better, but I don't know, I'm a little skeptical that this is going to work. So let's just, alrighty, it's either going to work or it's not. Yeah. Still did not work. So I got to play with some sound effects, which was fun. But other than that, I think what I need to do is probably do something like not bind this value, but maybe, or bind it to like a temporary value. So I could have something like, this seems kind of lame in this case, but I could have some sort of other thing like, I can always press F12 to see the error. It says Marcus Voice Programmer. Yeah, I think I know what the error is, but that's a good point. Press F12 to see the error. You know what, let's play along with that. I assume it's a binding thing, but sure, let's try that. Bind it to a string-based property with a set clause that writes it to a bool. C# Fritz, oh my gosh, my good friend. That is kind of where I was going to head with this now, is to like bind it to another property. It's kind of unfortunate that like I didn't know I was going to have to do that. But I'm like winging it. C# is, knows a lot more about this than I do. I'm totally new to Blazor, just going live, just trying to like hack my way through this thing, trial and error. And people may or may not come along for the ride. And, so F12 to see the error. Oh, and these tools, Blazor, can I see Blazor errors in here? System invalid cast exception. Hey, that's cool. That is cool. Now I kind of knew that this was the error, but Marcus Voice Programmer coming through, telling me that I could hit the F12 tools and see my Blazor errors in there. That's freaking me out a little bit here. That's cool. So I'm learning stuff as we go. Thank you. Like, totally cool. So C# Fritz says getting values from fields in Blazor are typically coerced into string types. Yeah, right. Had a feeling. So that's really not that big a deal. We can work around that. I can do that. But I think, okay, so let's keep going here. So, but I'm excited about this F12 because what's cool about this is, I guess, Blazor maybe because it's server side stuff. See, I guess I have to wrap my head around this. Blazor model is still new to me, right? I'm using Blazor server. Typically these days, I tend to work in a framework like Angular or something like that, where things are happening on the client. Oh wait, it says Shift-Alt-D to enable the Blazor debugger. Shift-Alt-D. What is that going to do? Shift-Alt-D. Well, aha. Yes, I'm doing it. Maybe that's, yeah. So I'm doing server Blazor today. Thought this would be a good way to try this app out. So what's cool is that I'm getting this information back and forth from the server. The server, I guess Blazor server was kind enough in its chatty, I guess, life cycle between, and I don't mean chatty in a bad way, but it chats up and back with the server. And so I guess it's sending me this, which was really cool. So why don't I, let's see, I could do this a couple ways. I could kind of treat this model as a string-based model because this is like my model that exists here in my, this could be like my view model. And maybe I put a string on here anyway as a yes or no. And then when I get it on the back end, I can convert it. That's probably the easiest way to do this anyway. So let's turn this into a string. Things went well. And I'll put this as a string. Oops. String. And again, for people that are just joining, I'm making a simple application to gather feedback about teams. Our teams at work, we work on sprints and we have product owners. And what I want to ask each of the product owners at the end of each sprint, after they've had their retrospective, which I'm not a part of because I'm, sort of outside of the scope of all that kind of stuff, is that what I'm going to do is ask them 2 questions. How did things go this sprint? Did things go well or not, right? And if things went well or things did not go well, did they go better than the previous sprint? And I can get into my whole philosophy on why I'm asking these questions, but sometimes it's nice for people to see, what is this guy doing here? Marcus Voice Programmer says you can also set the default just by pressing equal on the end. Set default by pressing equal on the end. Now, I don't know what the end of he was talking about, but maybe you could clue me in. I'm sorry, the end of what? I wasn't really sure what you meant there. But now I think what's going to happen is I can put yes and no in here. And let's see if I'm paying attention right and talking at the same time, but it's still bound to things went well. It's got an option. It's got please choose, which should have end of the line of each property equal and then a value. Oh, you're talking about over here in the C# code. To put a default value in. Well, I don't want a default value on these, I don't think, on these strings. Not sure, but let's hang on to that. Let's come back to playing with that area. And let's just see. Now, this should work if all goes well, I think. Well, what the heck? We're living and learning, and we're finding out along the way. I love that this always opens up on the wrong screen. And so let's see. Now let's go back into my, this is making itself smaller each time. And now I'm going to hit submit. Right, good. Oh, darn it. This one's required. This one's required and I didn't add it in here. All right, let's see what happens with this. So, all right, I think that's going to work. Oh, God. All right. So let's put that other box in there. And let's just put this one in there too. And say, I think I called it better than last. I love this this sort of, IntelliSense stuff that we get. And I'll put another question mark in here, and I'll probably screw this up. HTML-wise, it might look really bad. Will it wrap? Maybe these should be divs. Let's change these to divs, because I don't want it to be too stupid there. Okay. Do things go better than last, right? And the UI, I'm not concerned with style and all that kind of stuff. That is really not what I'm after here. And I know that on my C# in my attribute, I could put a better message in there. What I love about some of this stuff is, went to the wrong window again. I don't know why it always does that. I think I have a trick to make it open on this one. I'm going to try closing it manually instead of hitting, well, I don't know if I hit stop on the debugger list. Let's see. Come on, baby, come on. Here we go. Provide feedback. Okay, submit, right? I'll say yes, and I'll say no, and submit. And here I am back here with my data. Bingo. Let's put a little applause in there for you. All right. Yes, thank you, Andy. You're awesome. So if I go over to my breakpoint here, I can see that feedback should have my yes and my no. So, I like that. And what I was starting to say is what I like about this, it's amazing how these things have come around. But in here, I've got my required attribute using data annotations. And this is that same system component model data annotations I've been using before, whether I'm, whatever framework I'm using. And I love the fact that I can come in here. Now I'm really rusty with this and I don't really remember, but ship it. Yes, ready to go. Right. Thank you. I should ship it. That would be great. But I can use this, and I think if I remember correctly, yeah, I can just say the error message. So I can say, oh, look, allow empty strings. I didn't even know that. I guess it defaults to false because it didn't allow empty strings in the past. But let's see. So I want to say, well, let's just say false. And now I'm going to say my error message. And let's just say something like, let's just put that in there for now. Oh, maybe it's knowing that I just put something hackable in there. Let's see. No? I think I even needed to put that in there. I thought I could just put the message in here. So it's funny how I said it's like that same old required attribute that I've been using. I haven't used it in a long time still. But I thought, oh, and that's embarrassing to think and code at the same time. Properties. Oh, well, maybe I should do this. Let's see. I don't know if you can do this on an attribute. No, you can't do this on an attribute. Right. Andy. So I think you actually have to type in the message. Yeah, well, that's what I was doing. I had this fake text in there, and I thought that would be the oh, maybe I have to say message equals. Like that? No. Oh. Error message. No, I don't remember how to do this. This is embarrassing. This is like, C# Fritz is still watching. I might have to head into my MVP. Here it says validation attribute error. Oh, so it is error message. Oh, you know what? It says error message right here, and I'm looking at the word, I'm typing in message. So error message equals, thank you, and I'll say, what am I on? I'm saying message with brackets. Yeah. Oh, with brackets? No, I don't know if do I need brackets? Because it shows the brackets in there. I'm pointing at my screen like you can see me. Hang on. Let's just get the actual message in here. This is like, terrible coding here. Please, this field is required. Yeah, it doesn't like that. Oh, wait. I don't have my paren. So I thought that's what I needed to do right there. And I'm going to say things went well is required. Let's do that. Oh my gosh. So, a couple things are happening here today. I'm really psyched to be live coding again and streaming and typing code. And I'm remembering how hard it is to remember like simple things that I know how to do, like how to specify the error message in an attribute. Your brain just goes and gets a little silly when you try to like code and think at the same time. So here I'm going to say things, I don't know, things went better. I'll just leave it at that for now. So I've got that, and I feel like at some point, I'm just checking my other computer, because I do need to figure out if I have any real all right. So I am, I think right there, I'm going to wrap it up. And, you know, I was already told to ship it. It's like a rabbit in the headlight. Yeah, it's totally crazy. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to check in my changes, right? And I'll say started the entry form. Okay. And I have so much that needs to get done. And again, I want to have you know, pipelines and things like that set up. Actually, I'm going to be using GitHub Actions for this one. So this is my repo, team feedback, Swami/team feedback. And I am going to, what do I do? Oh, there, let's go commit that. And I think with that, I'm going to be ending this day. To me, this was a successful day. I wrote some code. I got my stream working, had all kinds of audio problems in the beginning, but I remembered how to fix all that stuff. And so for a couple people that were here hanging out, hey, I appreciate it. Thanks. This was fun. I'm going to be doing this all week this week at around noon, trying to build this application and get this thing going. So it should be fun. Thanks for people that participated. Now I'm going to get to find out if my stream automation is working properly to end the stream, because I did have problems starting the stream. But I'm going to head out back to my day job, because I noticed on my work computer that I have some messages waiting for me, and it's time for me to stop playing around, although this is official real work that I'm doing. So thanks for hanging out. Look forward to seeing you guys again soon, and I'll see you hopefully tomorrow at Swami Streams at about noon tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.